Good afternoon. Welcome to Blog Talk USA. I had to make sure everything fired up. Excuse me. Welcome to Two Gents Podcast. I'm sorry I did Blog Talk for so long that sometimes you get confused. You go from one media to another one. You try to get the word out, and today we find ourselves in a I want to say a precarious situation. And I like to get up in the morning. And sometimes when I get up, the first thing I do is fall down on my knees and I pray. But at times after I get up from prayer, I start thinking about the world that we live in. And when I think about it, I sometimes it makes you depressed. But you have to always know that there's a God out there. There is a God out there, and He has a plan for everything, and we have to put our faith there. We have to put our faith there. And once we put our faith there, I'm still trying to go live on some other situations. And when you got all this stuff working, it's kind of hard. When you're a one man, it feels like you're kicking the bass drum and you got a horn in your hand and you're trying to get that to work too. So I just want to say that we should be live on all medias now. And you get this, sometimes you get this impression that America has went down a hole that they don't know how to get out of. It's not just the Democrats, but if we gonna put the blame somewhere, we always find one party or the other one. We never try to find out how we got here. And this time I can truly say, if you remember going back to the Democratic, when we were fired up, Kamala Harris had got us fired up, and we were all, hey man, we're on board. We going this way. This is where we're going. We got a destination, and we're gonna get there. And we just knew, well, majority of us knew that she was gonna win this election. Majority of us got on board and kind of figured that there wasn't gonna be anybody voting for the other person that was out there. But then we soon realized that, America was tired of the same old message being delivered. And before I go any further, I got to say this. I came on the air. I did it on my own. I invited my guests on. My guest had something else to do, and so I felt like every once in a while I still need to do this, and remember where I came from. And it's a lot of things that I'm saying in the background, because you know what? Look at the flag that's behind me. I saw this image when I was thinking about America, and I said, this kind of works, because we have parties that's in total disarray, but it seems like they don't realize that the people are still standing strong. The people are still looking for a message. So the stars in this picture kind of represent the people. We the people. The stripes are representing the elected officials that we sent to Washington. And I'm still waiting on them to kind of straighten out. I don't think either one of them knows where they're going. The only people that seem like they know where they're going, and I'm not even for sure because they're still making mistakes along the way, is the Republican Party. But their plan is a little bit better than ours. Their messaging is a little bit better than ours. We do good messaging. Let me, I don't want to get into it too early, but we do good messaging. But our words and our actions don't follow nothing in which we say, or nothing in which we put out there. Because I'm going to give you a feel-good moment, and then we're going to go into the rest of it, and I want to know if you still feel that same way now. Because here's the feel-good moment. I need you to feel it, because I felt it when it was being played. And I just had to play it because I went back out and I said, man, how can I describe a real good moment in history where it made you feel like you was getting up doing some things? You remember where you came from. It took you back in history, and the music was just right. Sometimes we we got to stop listening. We got to stop listening to music and make a difference in this world. And making a difference means that we got to tell our elected officials what's wrong. And those elected officials, when they leave, they need to go represent you. It's so much it's so much going on. I think about just here in my fair city. We lost 2 congressmen. Sheila Jackson Lee. We lost Sylvester Turner. Both of them represent a congressman in the United States. Well, I hate to say it, but our governor just decided that he wanted to sit there. He don't want to. He could have a special election. Whatever he's going to do, he's waiting. Because now, if you think about the whole picture of everything, that's one less vote. And the Republicans got the House, so they got majority of them, but that's one less vote out there. Now, I'm just thinking maybe they're trying to get something over or trying to get something passed or something like that. And they asking him not to put a special election in place or something like that, because it has to be a reason why they're doing it. They don't just do stuff arbitrarily and then we just get on board. You know, we find out later that they had a purpose and agenda, but sometimes we don't question what they're doing. And I haven't heard any of the national media to this point questioning this seat here, because it's a governor appointed thing. But as I promised, you know, I went down a rabbit hole, but I want to get back, because I told you I was going to give you a feel-good moment and let you hear a feel-good moment, because this was a feel-good moment. I'm gonna change my position. I'm gonna change my position. Give me a minute. I'm gonna change my position. I'm gonna add this to the stage. I need you to hear this.
We resist those attacks collectively, and we will stand together.
Do we believe in freedom?
Support human rights. We believe in that. Support self-determination. We're built on that.
Stronger together is not just a lesson from our history.
The institutions of this country belong to all of the people who inhabit it.
Jesse Jackson took to the stage at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, knowing the uphill battle he would face in composing the score of a harmonious nation.
Reverend Jackson started out very young. He opened the door, and he continues to do that even now, that all of us have a responsibility for other generations to come behind us.
Jesse Jackson's candidacy in 1984 helped to pave the way for Barack Obama's presidency in 2008. His 1988 candidacy helped to reshape
That was a feel-good moment. I want to re-add it to the stage, because when you add stuff on here, it kind of takes away from what. But I need you to hear it in its entirety. I really do.
Democratic National Committee. His candidacy was before its time.
Fueled by passion and determination and marching to their own beat, our civil rights leaders laid the groundwork for lasting change, dreaming of a country where equality and justice inspired the next generation.
We need the energy of our young people. We need the wisdom of our elders. We all can be proud to say that we are truly a leading democracy, and we respect people's ability to exist.
America is not like a blanket, one piece of unbroken cloth, the same color, the same texture, the same size. America is more like a quilt, many patches, many pieces, many colors, many sizes.
Standing on the shoulders of giants, Kamala Harris is the candidate who encompasses the brilliance, determination, analysis, and the action to carry the torch lit.
I'm going to pause that right there, because one of the things that I had to be reminded of, and that's the reason why I love doing the show with the gentleman that we have on. We need to understand that we need everybody. We need a diverse group of people to actually do something, to make a difference. We need to open our arms. And one of the things that Byron Glass said, he said, if we're not going to include everybody, Ron, I don't want to be a part of it. He was clear. He said, I don't want to be a part of this show. I don't want to be a part of anything that excludes people based on color, gender, or race. And I understand that because we're not going to make a change in this country by playing this video. We're going to make a change in this country by working together, pulling something together, and knowing that we have a common goal to make this country a better place. And the only way that you're going to do is that you got to reach your arms out and grab every brother, sister, doesn't matter their color, origin, or anything. You got to grab them. Somehow we lost that. We lost that. Somehow we allowed some of our people to be swayed and misled and guided into the other party, and we never get we can't get them back. Somehow our messaging has to change, and I'm gonna let this play a little bit more because I want you to get this feel good moment before we get into some real facts that's out there, because I don't know where I know what has to happen, but too many of us are so self-centered around being in leadership and around telling people what to do that they can't even, people in Congress, I'm just gonna say this before I bring this, they can't even go back to their own state and have a townhouse meeting without being disrupted, because this country is there. It's there. You are in the White House. Not saying that you're the majority, but even if you're the minority, the America that I know is still holding their congressmen and their elected officials accounted for, and it's showing. So I just want to play the rest of this, and then I'm gonna take it to where I need to go, because we need to wake up somehow. We need to go to another level, and I'm gonna stay within my frame, Byron Glass. I told I got to do that when I'm in moments like this. And Pastor Reagan showed me the other night, when you educating people, you need to talk to them like they're human beings. You need to treat them like they're human. Sometimes you don't have to yell and jump and scream and all the rest of that. You just turn up your mic a little bit and say what you're gonna say and make your points. So let's finish up this feel-good moment.
By the founders of the movement, there's only one choice to represent our collective voice.
What kind of country do we want to live in?
Value system of the modern Democratic Party has been shaped by the civil rights movement of the 1960s.
There's a direct line from 64, the National Democratic Convention, where Fannie Lou Hamer asked to be seated, and 2024, where a black woman is the Democratic nominee. It's been a long struggle and a long journey, but Fannie's gonna be vindicated and Shirley Chisholm's gonna be vindicated in the 24 Democratic Convention.
I wonder if I could sit in a room with Shirley Chisholm, with Rosa Parks, with Coretta Scott King. What would they say about what's happening today?
The civil rights movement has been a key part of organizing the agenda.
And I'm gonna stop it there. I know I need to let it play, but I gotta say this. What would those women say in this time? What would they say? What would they say? What would they be saying? I mean, you heard Shirley Chisholm, she ran for president. You heard Martin Luther King's wife being put out. You heard a couple other people being put out in there. They flashed their pictures. You saw Miss Abrams in there too. What are people saying that they gave something for this country to get to the point where it's at? What are they saying? Because this is what I'll say. We had Melanie on not too long ago from Black Voters Matter, and they went to the Pettus Bridge. It was people out there that suffered like them years before them. It was people out there that got ran off that bridge with dogs and horses and everything else. And they made that sacrifice to get where we at. And even though we're here, we still didn't get the vote out. So we end up here and we're looking for a feel-good moment. You know, when you go into to places where they're having conversation and decent conversation, and you sit down for a minute and you look and you listen, whether it's at a bar, at a social gathering, or at a sorority or brothers meeting or something like that, everybody's asking, how did we get here? We got here because we didn't vote. Simple as that. We didn't vote. We planned and we had feel good moments, but we didn't vote like we were supposed to. We didn't reach out to we didn't listen to the message that was coming from our community. We didn't listen to the message that they was trying to tell us that if we keep going down that path, we're going to lose voters. If we keep talking and saying what we can't do, we're going to lose voters. And that's the reason why we got to the point where we was.
The Democratic Party, but of democracy.
This is the hope that runs through Kamala Harris's leadership. One where hope, change, and freedom are the drumline of our democracy.
I stand before you today as a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the presidency of the United States of America.
I stand before you today to proudly announce I am now officially the Democratic nominee for President of the United States.
That was a feel good moment. We got there. We did a Democratic Party convention. We got people fired up, but we didn't get people out to vote like they should. Diversity is a key issue in any time that you run for politics in this country. Even when Obama ran, it was a key issue. He didn't run and win on just his people. He ran and won on diversity. He included people that didn't have a skin color. Everybody was tired and waiting for a different message. He didn't just become the first black president of the United States. He had a message that he delivered. It didn't matter. Anybody could have delivered that message. He just happened to be the person at that time that delivered the right message. And that's why I think that we get caught up in messaging. Our messaging has to do better as a Democratic Party. And the reason why I fight and I talk about the Democratic Party so much, because I remember seeing my father, my mother, and siblings, and I remember Glass saying the same thing about his mother and his siblings and Pastor Riggins. If you don't vote, you don't have a voice. You don't have a voice. And it's hard for me to follow you. It's hard for us as a people to follow you when you do all this talking in the barbershop and then somehow or a beauty shop or wherever you at, the last statement that you made, well, I didn't vote because I didn't like my choices. You should be the last person when somebody else go into that shop. You should be the last person that somebody sit up and talk to. You didn't like the voices. You didn't like the people that was running. Now you want to know why, how, what can I do to stop it? It's nothing that you can do to stop it. We're going to go through this painful 4 years because maybe in time we'll realize that our vote counts. Maybe in time you'll realize that you don't make statements like, my vote, I didn't like my candidates, and she had this problem and she had that problem. Because unless you saw it with your own eyes, it's nothing that you can say. I mean, look at where you're at. Look who's in charge right now. I ain't gonna call his name, but I want to get you something to kind of help you just a little bit. And last time I played this, I tried my best to get the whole thing, but I didn't. So you heard it feel good, but here's the consequences of your actions. Here's the consequences of the actions in which we partake in. Sometimes
to come together on this issue to hold the line. But I presume that was the thinking going into the vote last week. And yet that line was not held. So I think a lot of Americans, particularly those who are looking for some action from the Democratic Party on this, and I want to iterate, it's not, in my view, not just action within the Democratic Party, but how the Democratic Party rallies the entire country, Republicans like myself, independents, and others, to this idea to stand on that wall.
You know, I wanted that video to end there, and it ended just in time for what I wanted. It ended just in time for what I wanted, because sometimes you get caught up in the moment, and you never really get back to where you need to be. And I want to go back to the basics, because we forget, and going back to the basics kind of help us. And I call this video the truth, because the truth sometimes hurt, but we have to hear it. The truth sometimes hurt, but we have to hear it.
It's like you to show that you give a damn, that you got a little emotion about the fact that people are losing their jobs indiscriminately, that this individual sitting down the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue has given absolute power to one man who brings his son into the Oval Office, whose son says to him, "You're not the president. You shouldn't be in that chair." Now, where did he get that from? He got it from his daddy, because that's what his daddy thinks is the man who brought him into the Oval Office. So I just like to see somebody wake the hell up and get excited about the fact that your country is under assault. They're not at the gate anymore. They're in your bedrooms. They're in your living rooms. They're in your businesses. They got your data, dumbass. They got all your stuff. Elon.
You know, that leads, I want to play that video because I need to lead it into something else. You know, as we sit here and we look at President Trump, I'm just gonna say it. Every time I want to mention Trump's name, it just does something to me. And this is what I really wanted to say. He mentioned Elon Musk, and he's right. He's right on that, because what he's saying is that Elon Musk has given President Trump access to everything that he didn't have before. But with access doesn't mean that you can do everything the right way. You can put all the people in place and still have mistakes. But see, what we don't do, the Democratic Party don't do, let me just say that, they don't listen well enough to know that when mistakes are made, that maybe some of those mistakes are taken away from. The Republican Party over the years has had a way to lead you away from something that's going on, lead you away from where they're at, and then when they take credit for it, when something goes right, we're caught, and we listen to that part of the thing, and we say, you know what, we got him. Let's hound him. And as soon as you start hounding them, and I'm gonna make a point here, because as soon as you start saying the right things and doing the right things, they got it right this time. See, they was talking about this reporter that got included in on this bombing recently, and they say, well, the Democrats say, oh no, you know, that just shows you how much of a disarray they in, how much of this where they at and everything. But the Republicans come back with a different spin, and the Republicans say, we got the job done. While y'all worried about what the reporters say, we got the job done. We went in there, it was a successful mission. Now, if it would have went the other way, they would have came back. Well, you know, this reporter, they had somebody that was in the conversation that shouldn't have been in there. So maybe the word got out too early or something like that. They always put themselves in a position to land on their feet. And that's the thing that we need to be more prepared for before we start reacting. They always put themselves in a place to land on their feet. This what you just heard them say, they're in your bedrooms, they're everywhere. Elon Musk has given Trump the ability to do whatever he wants to do. And if you don't take my word for it. We're gonna continue to bring information to this place, because we have to do it where normal people, because I don't think that people pay attention to the news. I think they cut it on, they cut it off, and they go to these 30-second things that come on. I'm gonna produce some after I get off the air, some shorts with the information I'm putting out. But I think that's how everybody's getting their information these days. They don't want to get involved with anything else.
It's like you to show that you give a damn.
I wish I was better at technology. But look at this. I need to go back. I want you to see the whole thing. And there ain't no words to it. They're walking from the White House. Elon Musk's son is walking with the president out there. Look at all the people that's standing around. Look at the people in the background that it takes just to make this little trip for the president. He takes his son up in the helicopter. How many of us wouldn't like that trip? I mean, that's your tax dollars. I don't know what they were going to do, but that's your tax dollars flying right there. They break it down on somewhere on the media how much it costs for Air Force One to go from one place to another one. How many other airplanes are, and just imagine. You got one airplane with the president. You got a separate airplane that's acting as a decoy out there. But then you got other people. You got other aircrafts that's taking all those vehicles. If you ever see the president motorcade come to your town, you got all those tax dollars being spent every time he decides to go somewhere. Every time he decides to get off the ground. But to me, this looks like a joyride. He walking with what is Elon Musk's son gonna contribute to America? Help me understand. And maybe I got it all wrong. What is he gonna contribute to America? I'm just one of those individuals that ask questions, and I hope that after we get through with this, more people start to ask questions, because Elon Musk, and we did a show on who is Elon Musk, and sometimes you have to go back, but I see tax dollars. I don't see anything else. I see tax dollars being wasted here. I don't see anything else in that video that shows me any different, because I suspect that was a joyride on your time. And sometimes, at times we need to go back to places where we came from, because even in the Democratic Party, Elon Musk has done a lot of things, but making our government accountable for some of the waste and abuse that they have in their system is something that even y'all may not believe me, so I'm going to show you. Y'all may not believe me, so I'm going to show you.
We cannot keep our promises on Medicare. We simply must make the cuts in waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare so that the benefits and the premiums are untouched. We owe it to our seniors. We owe it to our country.
Yeah, that's from TikTok. Y'all saw it. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not an expert at what I'm doing, but I just need you to know that
we cannot.
Sometimes when you're handling technology, I need to remove that from the studio, but you still seeing your tax dollars out there being wasted. You're still seeing your tax dollars out there being wasted. Right in front of your eyes. Right in front of your eyes, you see them out there being wasted. So that's the Elon Musk effect on America. On one hand, he investigating. He's trying to get America on board. But on the other hand, the president is giving his son a ride in the helicopter. And I don't know how they figure up but the weight has something to do with the cost of the fuel and how far they can go and what they can do. I imagine it's a lot of dead weight on the helicopter that was flying out. I imagine there was a lot of dead weight. But we also touched on something else. And when you look back at history, sometimes you have to look at stuff from a different perspective. And this is one of the pictures I want you to look at. I shared it on last week when we was talking about who was Elon Musk. That's Donald Trump right there. Do you know who those other two people are? Donald Trump Sr. and his mother. Just want to let you know that when you ask for something, and just imagine the environment that we was raised up in. And I say we as Americans, a majority of us, and I say majority of us, were not raised up in this environment where we wore garments like this, where our father wore garments like this. You don't think they had anything to influence his son growing up? You don't think his father made any impression on his son growing up? You don't think that anything that happened right there was important? See, we'll go to this picture here, and I'm gonna present. We'll go to this picture here, and we'll say, well, he had our best interests at heart. He had our best interests at heart. He did some things. Yeah, he did some things. All right. He actually did some things that wasn't in our favor, but we went along with it. He did some things that wasn't in our favor, but we went along with it. So I'm gonna continue talking till I get this thing set up the right way. And sometimes you just have to work with technology that it allows you to do. So I'm here, and this is where I'm going. This is where I'm at. So I just want to say this, because you have to look at the two men that's in office that's running the country. And as they run this country, where are they taking us? Where are they taking us? Because you have to look at their backgrounds too. Their backgrounds is important. I mean, that's important to everything that's going on out there, to everything that we're looking at in America that's going on right there. And I'm gonna let this guy tell you about the background of Elon Musk, because I need you to hear this part, because this
we had
part
a great law-abiding country. Nobody ever committed a crime. It was apartheid, dude.
He's making reference to Elon Musk telling the American public about his father telling the American public about they didn't have no problems in South Africa. You heard Byron Glass say that was apartheid. It's the same as having the KKK here in the United States. So I'm gonna let him tell it a little bit better than I can.
It was apartheid. Like, you couldn't walk on the same side of the street. Interracial marriages were effectively banned. It was one of the most racially segregated countries ever. And you're like, hey, things were great. I mean, we had no complaints. We'd let the black folk in to come clean the house every now and then. Jesus Christ. What a horrible, horrible thing to say. And apparently a horrible thing to seemingly enjoy.
See, they know where they put us in a position. It's no different probably with Trump and them, other than they might have had something different going on. But Elon Musk, this is what he did as a child. It's gonna get even scarier by the comments that this guy tells you about the Musk family. And I'm glad that he was able to do the research and we were able to share it here.
But then the Washington Post decided, okay, we're kind of pumping a dry well here. Let's go talk to somebody else. So they found a guy who is now a biomedical scientist. He actually went to high school with Elon Musk, knew him pretty well. So this guy, Rudolph Pianar, said, quote, "We grew up in a bubble of entitlement. I am not sure if Elon can conceive of systematic discrimination and struggle because that's not his experience. His life now, in some ways, is how it was under apartheid, rich and entitled with the entire society built to sustain him and his ilk." Now, that does explain a lot, right? Rich.
I'm gonna help you just a little bit. Both he's going to go into it, but both of these individuals have never really had to struggle in their life. They never really had anything that they had to struggle with in their life because their father gave them direction. And in their father giving them direction, sometimes you have some rebellious kids that do. These guys didn't rebel because they had a goal in mind, a gold. Let me say it's golden in their heels. They had a goal in mind of getting their father's fortune, inheriting part of it, or however they got it, but they didn't have a goal of going to work like our kids. They didn't have a goal of going to college, making something of yourself like our kids. They were entitled and inherited almost everything they got. Now one of them did go on to do some other stuff, but how he got it, we'll never know. But he did do some other stuff, and I'm gonna let you listen to the rest of this.
And entitled, you don't have to see all of the horrible things happening because you are protected in your bubble. But at the same time, your bubble does apparently get penetrated because, as your dad mentioned, you had, quote, black servants. So you knew that there was some kind of racial disparity that also translated to class disparity. You just what? Couldn't get it through your skull? You couldn't figure out why that was? You didn't understand what was happening? I don't know. That one I do want a little bit more of an answer to, but I do agree that the entitlement bubble is what Elon Musk has lived his entire life in. Never had to worry about anything. Never had to experience any kind of hardship or even deal with people who had to experience any kind of hardship. And life experience does in fact matter.
It does matter. It does matter. When you form your opinion as a child growing up, it does matter. Everything matters. I'm clicking buttons in the background because I'm trying to get some other stuff up, but I'm going to cancel that for right now. And I'm going to go back to the stage. I'm going to get back on the stage myself.
We had a great law-abiding country. Nobody ever...
That's funny because it's funny, but it's sad. And you only laugh to keep from crying because this man is saying that they had a great law-abiding country. And he wasn't talking about the U.S. He was talking about South Africa. And you know that Glass came from South Africa. Glass went there. He punched his ticket. And when he was talking the other night, he was talking from where he had been, not where he wanted to go or something like that. He went there and he saw everything that was in place. And it wasn't like he was making up, because he even said that he had a chance to meet with the president. I hope that we get a chance to get that presentation at a later date. And he sent some pictures and stuff like that, but we're going to follow up with that. And I just want to let you know that sometimes the truth hurts. It doesn't matter where it comes from. The truth is important and it needs to be told. It needs to be told by whoever is telling the truth. Sometimes you get your information and we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it because it's not meeting our narrative. But here's something. You know, they say even a jawbone of an ass is correct. Well, I ain't going to say that. I'm gonna just say that in the Bible, Jesus said they used jawbone of ass to slew a whole army with weapons and everything. But sometimes even an ass makes sense, and I don't like giving everybody. But the only way that we're going to be diverse in this is that we got to give everybody a stage.
Yes, absolutely. Ms. Kerger stated under oath in her testimony that first she said it wasn't aired, and then she said that it was aired on accident. And clearly it was aired. We found that it had been put up on their website. That's their content. That is publicly funded. And then later it was taken down. And I showed the video there of the drag queen targeting children ages 3 to 8 years old, with a drag queen talking about his hips, swishing back and forth, shoulders, shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. This is the type of propaganda and sexualizing of children that Americans have been so outraged over, and it showed up big time as one of the #1 issues in the 2024 election. The ad that was played where it said, Democrats are for they, them, and we are for you resonated. It was the #1 ad in November of 2024. America is sick of this, and parents want their kids left alone.
You know where that came from. And that goes back to messaging. And I say messaging. You have to send the correct message in order to get an answer. You have to make sure that you identify where you at, where you let people know where you stand. Some messages are not meant to be carried, and I know people shy away from this, but she was telling the truth, and I always say the truth hurts. It doesn't matter who it comes from. If it's the truth, you gotta show it. And I didn't like how she did Jasmine Crockett. I admit. But what she said just then, it's the truth. And if you're a parent and you disagree with it, let me know. I'll open up the airway because I want you to call in and comment. The truth hurts. Messaging never comes across right unless you're on the right side, one side or the other. And we have to figure out to save that party. To save that party, if it's to be saved, we have to get on the right side of messaging. You gotta be as diverse as Byron Glass asked us to be on this channel. You gotta be as diverse as Byron Glass said, I don't want to be a part of it. If you're not telling the truth. That is not my truth. That is not my truth. And I think that we lost that. And for young people, like this brother I'm about to bring on, for young people, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. And their messaging is strong. And they know what they want to hear.
Bonfire Green. I have no problem with what the OG did there, but here's my issue. Old men for counsel, young men for war. Where was the young warriors? Okay, even if you didn't want to set it off like Congressman Al Green did, you gotta stand with him when he does. Okay, you gotta walk out with him in protest when they kicked him out. Al Green is 77. He out there with a cane, okay, looking like the old man in New Jack City. Rest in peace to Bill Cobbs. Remember when the old man was telling Nino Brown he going to hell? That's how Congressman Al Green looked. But where was the rest of the Democrats? Huh? Y'all left Captain America to fight the Black Order by himself. Imagine if those portals opened up in Avengers Endgame, but instead of coming out to fight, the rest of the Avengers just sat there and watched Captain America get embarrassed. That's what Democrats did to Congressman Al Green last night, and it made an already weak party.
And I saw somebody do this. They said that Charlemagne the God, that's who that was, destroyed Al Green on his platform. Sometimes I wonder where people get their information from. Because I just heard that young brother uplift Al Green. I just heard that young brother say positive things about what he did. But what he did do, and if the Democrats was a part of that message that they was trying to send out, talking about he didn't do what he was supposed to do, the only people in that whole place that didn't do what they were supposed to do was everybody else that was sitting on their hands in that room when he got up and walked out. When he got up and walked out. And I'm going to keep saying that point because it's very important that we cover our story too. It's very important that we cover our story. We can't say one thing and do another thing. We can't say one thing, and when one person stands up, I don't care if it's the worst person in the world, and they're in your party and they represent your organization. If something happens to you, something happens to all of you. That message that could have been sent right there. That message that could have told them, you worried about getting everybody but one vote, one person in the Congress, and how the Senate went their way. You know that message that you could have sent right there? You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. Nothing is beyond that. Because that was a point in time, and I'm going to keep harping on it, because evidently y'all still don't get it. You're still doing things behind closed doors, and this man is sitting right in front of you doing the same exact thing, but you're more worried about a reporter being on a telephone call. You mean out of all the stuff that this man has done wrong, and everything that he has done to this point, you're worried about a reporter that was on a telephone call, that they might have did it intentionally. Because if they didn't do it intentionally, why wasn't there more reporters on there? Just food for thought. Just food for thought. I'm just gonna tell you, they knew where he was going. They knew what he was gonna do with the information, and they got exactly what they wanted. Now you sit up on the hill. You can't form committees to do anything, but you sit up there and you get up there and you wasting oxygen, trying to tell the American public every time that they do something like that, you follow that rabbit down that hole. Well, they were successful in their mission. That's all they're gonna come back and say. I don't know how many people we got in Congress at this time. I did have that information, but if that's all y'all doing, y'all failing the American people. You're wasting our time. You might as well get on that airplane. You might as well get on the helicopter with little Elon Musk and take a ride, because that's what you're doing up there. You're just taking a ride on the American people. You're taking a ride on the American people, but somehow, and this is going to get a little controversial here, somehow you go to Washington, D.C., they got a set salary for you to make. Now, I'm not just calling this Congress out. I'm calling out every other member, every other Congress that's out there that has been in position. You got a set salary that you make. Somehow, by the time you get out of the office, your salary and the amount of money that you're worth is not the same. It's not the same. Now, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I'm calling both parties out. It's not the same. We need to figure that one out. And I hope that some of y'all are running or scared behind that, but you need to figure that out, because what you go in office with and your salary that you're making in office, somehow it should balance out to your lifestyle and what you're living. But there again, when you speak the truth, there's very few listeners out there. Go out there and check out your own congressmen, your own local congressmen, your state congressmen, whatever you got, state level, everywhere. Check them out when they first go in office and see how they come out. See where their money is. Money is. We're going to try to move on, because I need to make one or two more points, and then I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be out. But I feel good. I feel better. I can tell you I feel better. I feel better because this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. And I'm going to go to one more point, and I'm going to close with that feel-good video, because I want to show you where we could go, what we had the ability to do. They didn't have what we have right now. Where I'm sitting there right now, they didn't have that years ago. They didn't have Byron Glass. They didn't have A.F. Riggins. They didn't have John. They didn't even have, golly, we had a guest on, and I forgot his name. But you know who I'm talking about. We had a guest on last week, and I know his real name, but if he wanted us to use it, he would have told us. Too many of us sit around, and this is the type of rewards that we want. Too many of us sit around, and this is the type of rewards that we want. We're looking for this. We don't care how we get it. We don't care the expense of it. But this is what we're looking on. We're waiting for it. We're waiting for it. You know it's coming. We're waiting for it.
$1,000 stimulus check standalone bill that Congress will vote on later today on top of the $600 stimulus check that we already have. News as well of the third stimulus check with Biden's inauguration and the latest city to offer rent assistance to their residents. And I'm really excited about this.
Really excited. At what cost? At what cost? I'm just curious, at what cost? Are we really excited about it? At what cost? We want those stimulus checks. We want them to give us some money. We want this. We want that. We got to have it. That's how we get excited. I guarantee if they would put a stimulus check attached to a vote, we would have had 100% of people out there voting. Then everybody has a chance to complain because we gave it our best. We gave it our best, but it shouldn't be attached to a stimulus check. It should be attached to a future, and the future of your kids and the future of our next generation. It should be attached to something that's going to make a significance out there. And we're more concerned about what? We're more concerned about
$1,000 stimulus check standalone bill that Congress will vote on later today on top of the $600 stimulus check that we already have. News as well of the...
That's what we look for. That's what we look for. That's what we want. That's what we want. That stimulus check. No matter how much it costs us or whatever it costs us, we're willing to give it up. Just for a stimulus check. And that stimulus check gonna help you do what? Pay 1 or 2 light bills. Maybe if you, depending on how you live, maybe a light bill, a house note, a car note, and that's it. We're selling ourselves out. We need more than a stimulus check. We need to have a Congress that's working for us. We need to get out and vote. It's more important for us to get out and vote at any other time in history. We need to get out and vote because it's important. And it's one thing that I got to say this. And I wish I would have brought it up after I got off with it, after I did the video with Charlemagne the God. You know, we've been doing this a long time as a people. I want to say as a people, because when I look at it as a whole, people that stand up, you know what happened to them? They try to censor them in Congress. And it's 2 members of Congress that's being censored, that's almost about to be censored right now, that we need to... Jasmine Crockett and Al Green. I'm not for sure if they had this censorship hearing, but what that does is it shuts down a voice that we had out there. It shuts down the ability for one person to make a difference, because if anybody else was gonna make a difference, they would have did it. They would have did it. I'm just gonna tell you, they would have did it, and they didn't do it. They haven't done it, and they don't have a plan to do anything other than sit on their hands in Congress and hope. And I say hope that something happens where they're not called out. Where they don't have to do anything to but sit there. They don't like it like somebody tell them what's wrong. They don't like that. And I had this one video that I'm trying to get up, and I want to get out of here with 2 more, and that's it. Because I don't know where we go. Because if you can't voice your opinion, if you can't say anything, if there's nothing that you can do to change things, we're not gonna make a difference. We're not gonna make a difference. And I'm working on this file as we talk, but I'm just gonna tell you, we're not gonna make a difference. And more of us need to start waking up in the morning and thinking about what's going on in the world around us after we pray, of course, after we pray. Thinking about what's going on in the world around us so we can make a difference in our space. In our space. We have to be able to do that. We have to be able to get our voices out there. And most of all, we need to respect each other. Even in what I'm doing, we need to respect each other. Everybody might not deliver their message like you. Everybody may not approach the situation like you. But look at look at where they're coming from. Look at what they're trying to do. And let them address what they're doing and you address what you're doing. And this place will be a much better place. And we need to stop tearing each other down as a whole. We need to have a come to Jesus moment, or however you want to say it, a come to Jesus moment, or whatever it takes. Even as young people, you young people out there got it bad because you guys act like y'all don't know how to get along with nothing. Y'all don't know how to talk to one another. Y'all don't know how to pull each other aside and, hey, look, man, something went wrong and I'm sorry that it went that wrong, but we need to come together and make this happen. We both got money that we're losing. And the only people that win is the people that's against us in this messaging. We continue to allow them to take the narrative from us. And we end up losing in the end. Everybody. Because your message, there's never been a place in time in history where a young person has had so much of a voice out there. And I'm going to tell you, I know it for myself. There's never been a place in time in history that a young person has had such a mate that could make such an impact on how the world is going. But you have opportunity to lead people and take them down a path that's positive. But you're so caught up in your own stuff, that it doesn't make a difference with you. It don't make a difference with you. Can lose money. It don't make a difference with you. People are trying to get where you at. It's almost like an athlete. You are the athlete. Rappers, entertainers. You are the athlete of our day. We all want to play basketball. We all want to play football. We all want to play baseball and get that big check. Y'all got the checks. And instead of y'all using it in a positive manner, you're using it to destroy each other. And then you have other people coming, you have the kids coming behind you, and they're trying to follow you, and they don't have half of what you got. I got to make one more statement. I'm not going to be able to get this video up, but I thought it was very important to what we're saying, because I can describe it before I get off the air. It was a video by a young lady that was on View. Her and Whoopi Goldberg was there, and they had zeroed in the camera. And she was saying that her congressman and her are pacifists. So they don't get into people raising their voice or making statements or doing anything and going out of the norm or breaking the decorum. They believe that you should have a plan behind the scenes. I wish I had the video, because it just lets you know that if they can't quiet the truth down, they try to come up with a reason why they can suppress it. And that's what they're trying to do with Al Green and Jasmine Crockett, because their party leaders won't stand up and do anything. As that saying goes, I think Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. But my partner in crime, my partner in progress, I'm going to say that, my partner in progress said, when they go low, we should go lower. We should go lower. So I want to leave y'all with something positive. I want to leave you with something positive. Most of all, I want you to pay attention to, it was a mixture a diverse group of people, even when they made this video. So I'm gonna leave you with something positive here, and I'm gonna get out of here. I hope that I made some points for you to think about. And as Glass say, even if we just reach one person, even if we reach one person, or even if we just sway one person to go down a different road, we're there. And look at Stacey Abrams in this picture. Look at Stacey Abrams when I bring this up. And I'm going to end it after this video. I enjoyed you. Thank God, thank God, thank God for giving me a voice. And thank God for my other partners in progress, Byron Glass, A.F. Riggins, and John. And if you want to be a part of it, you get a voice here to make a comment. This is not one of those podcasts where we have all the voices. You have an opportunity to make a comment. You have an opportunity to come on. And we're on. Join us on our next show on April 1st, 2005 at 7:30 p.m. We'll be right here with two gents. We'll be here with two gents. Join us. We have I guarantee you enjoy the subject matter that we're talking about. I can guarantee you that. But I'm going to leave you with this.
I don't know what this world is coming to.
We resist those attacks collectively, and we will stand together.
Do we believe in freedom?
Support human rights. We believe in that. Support self-determination. We're built on that.
Stronger together is not just a lesson from our history.
The institutions of this country belong to all of the people who inhabit it.
Jesse Jackson took to the stage at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, knowing the uphill battle he would face in composing the score of a harmonious nation.
Reverend Jackson started out very young. He opened the door, and he continues to do that even now, that all of us have a responsibility for other generations to come behind us.
Jesse Jackson's candidacy in 1984 helped to pave the way for Barack Obama's presidency in 2008. His 1988 candidacy helped to reshape the Democratic National Committee. His candidacy was before its time.
Fueled by passion and determination and marching to their own beat, our civil rights leaders laid the groundwork for lasting change, dreaming of a country where equality and justice inspired the next generation.
We need the energy of our young people. We need the wisdom of our elders. We all can be proud to say that we are truly a leading democracy, and we respect people's ability to exist.
America is not like a blanket, one piece of unbroken cloth, the same color, the same texture, the same size. America is more like a quilt, many patches, many pieces, many colors, many sizes.
Standing on the shoulders of giants, Kamala Harris is the candidate who encompasses the brilliance, determination, analysis, and the action to carry the torch lit by the founders of the movement. There's only one choice to represent our collective voice.
What kind of country do we want to live in?
Value system of the modern Democratic Party has been shaped by the civil rights movement of the 1960s.
There's a direct line from 64, the National Democratic Convention, where Fannie Lou Hamer asked to be seated, and 2024, where a black woman is the Democratic nominee. It's been a long struggle and a long journey, but Fannie's gonna be vindicated and Shirley Chisholm's gonna be vindicated in the 24 Democratic Convention.
I wonder if I could sit in a room with Shirley Chisholm, with Rosa Parks, with Coretta Scott King. What would they say about what's happening today?
The civil rights movement has been a key part of organizing the agenda, not just of the Democratic Party, but of democracy.
This is the hope that runs through Kamala Harris's leadership, one where hope, change, and freedom are the drumline of our democracy.
I stand before you today as a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the presidency of the United States of America.
I stand before you today to proudly announce I am now officially the Democratic nominee.